Yes, my people, I'm telling you, welcome back again. It's another Friday, and we're here. Welcome to the Naked Truth. As you know it, man, each and every Friday we are here. Just, talking with you guys, establishing the truth, just as the title of the video, the title of the show. And we're getting into a lot of stuff. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to uncover as we're in the Bible, and we're trying to establish, well, not establish, but we're trying to educate basically some of or all the people who are interested in knowing what the truth is. And the Bible has been constructed a certain way, so we have to be familiar with that, as I spoke about in previous videos, that you have to, this book, we got to take it in consideration before we begin to open and read these pages. We need to understand that not every single thing inside this book is 100% accurate. Neither everything here is, not everything in there pertaining to the word of the Most High. Right? So we have to understand that this is what we're trying to establish here. Today, welcome again, and greetings to everyone in the name of the Most High, and blessings and honor and glory unto his mighty name. We have to give thanks to the Most High, because without him we would not be here today. We have many things to talk about. As I said, this information is so vast, right? And there is so many different branches and branches that produce other branches and other branches, and you're talking about leaves, and you're talking about the fruits and the seed that fell and bear other fruits. I mean, it's so much information to uncover, but it's very simple how we're going to break this down so that people can get a deeper understanding of what the scripture is saying. As I explained before, for all the descendants of slaves, all of you who are living in the diaspora, everywhere. I'm talking about the four corners of the earth. If you know who you are, if you've been facing a certain tribulation, if you've been going through a certain struggle, and if you feel like you've been marginalized by other groups that don't look like you, and how they treat you, and how everything that you attempt to do failed, right? Even when you're putting all your energy and exhausting yourself to accomplish, and you see it fail. Right, and the curse of Deuteronomy 28 through 68, it was a blessing and a curse that was given. And I would employ you all to go and read Deuteronomy 28 through 68 to understand, because there is a prophecy there. Why? And you have the mainstream, or you have those who are in charge now, right, who will tell you that, and talking about these professors, Bible scholars, theologians, whoever they are, Christians, they will tell you that Deuteronomy 28, that already passed, right? This has nothing to do with, nothing today, because that was a time past. But it was a prophecy, right? And according to the prophecy, if we know what the prophecy is, then we would understand, right? Right? And the prophecy said that Judah or the tribe of Israel, they've been expelled from the land. And because of that, remember, there's a split between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, right? So this split create argument and pride. That's what it was about, right? So there was a split, disagreement, and the split took place. And because this split happens, right, you have the tribe went different places, and then was two tribes left behind, right, which was I believe was Simeon, right, and Judah and Simeon, I believe, was the tribe that left behind in the land at the time, during the time when the Messiah came. And then he said that you know, when Jerusalem is compassed with army, this it was telling them what was going to happen, right? So that was a prophecy that, they, whoever in the city shall flee to the mountains, and those who stay there would be killed. Which this happened historic in history. If you know the history about that, it happened, say, probably around 70 AD, as they describe that, right? So when they tried to disclaim the idea that Deuteronomy 28 already happened, no, it did not. This prophecy still stands today. There was two options that were given by the Most High, right? And these two options, and because, and this is, you have to understand this clearly, right? The reason why the Messiah came was to save Israel in the last days. That's why he came. That's why his blood was shed, right? So that Israel would be atoned for their sin wherever they would scattered and wherever they would be in the last days. So the fact that he came proved to you that this prophecy exists. This part of the prophecy, it was a blessing that if you did all things good, that you would inherit that which was good. And if you do go the other way, then this would have happened to you. Another nation would come and they would take you and they will do all kinds of different things to you. This is what happened. It means that if the Messiah came, it means that no one was in Israel or the land or the promised land. Let's call it the promised land according to the scriptures. No one would be in the promised land, right? No one would be there, because the prophecy means the second part of the second prophecy, which is the curse, would have been in effect. That means nobody would have been in the land. The fact that the Messiah came proved all of this, that nobody would be there. He even tell them that knowing, Jerusalem is compassed, with armies, that the desolation thereof is night, mean they're going to destroy the place. That mean, according to Deuteronomy 28, it means that nobody listen to the blessing and they fall victim to the curse. This is why he told them that, right? So this prophecy stand to this very moment, this very day, that people can pinpoint accurately the people that this book is talking about in Deuteronomy 28 through 68. So if you go and read that for yourself and you begin to look around you within your community and what you have known about history and what happened, transpired throughout the earth, you will know who fit this particular curse. So I employ all of you out there, you understand me, who are descendants of slave, to go and to read Deuteronomy 28 through 68. This will give you an idea, of who you are, right? And if you fit anything that this book is talking about, then you already know what it is. But as I said, they will dismiss the idea and tell you that no, this didn't happen. But this did happen, and it is happening now, because the latter days, the Israelite has to be awoken up. They will be awoken, right? And when they're awakened from their sleep and they start to get back these fragments of memory, they're all going to pull together. And this is when they're going to usher in the messianic age, right? So the Messiah will return after this, once they gather themselves and they unify themselves and begin to serve the Most High with all their mind, their heart, and soul. This is going to happen in the last days. And everything is going to turn upside down for the other nations who are ruling, right? This didn't happen yet. So there are people who living in the land. The Bible spoke about that as well. It said that Jerusalem shall be trampled down with Gentiles until the fulfillment of the Gentiles, meaning the people who are living in the land today and those who are there. The Bible even tell you, go into specific description of what would have happened in the land, and that they would have divided the land and do whatever for a lot, and all of these things are written in the book. We see that. So the Gentiles would be in the land, and they would be there, and in the last days they would be kicked out of the land, or they would be killed when the time, when that such time arrive. Now, as I said, they would dismiss these things for the fact that they don't want to deal with the idea that the people that are living there and claim to be Israelites, right? That they are the true Israelites and there is no other. No, we're talking about 12 tribes, right? Not one, not just Judah, according to the Jewish people today. They're supposed to be of the tribe of Judah. I mean, this is why they call themselves Jews, right? This is just short, right, for Judah, right? So what about the other tribes? There are 12 other tribes. Who are they, right? If this particular tribe that is called Judah, and the Bible tell you that Judah will be scattered among the nation. They will be everywhere. They will be all over the earth, and they won't be living comfortable, right? They said they're going to make the sky above them iron and the earth beneath their brass, right? So their lives won't be a comfortable life living here. They will face persecution from everyone and everywhere they go. They will be looked down upon. They will not be looked upon. That means they will be the head, just like the scriptures told you in Deuteronomy 28 through 68, that they will be the tail, right? And their enemies who took them in captivity will be the head. They will have everything, what they should have had, they won't have it. Their enemies would have that. And their enemies would rule over them, right? Until the very last day, the day that they're going to be, that they will wake up. The day when they wake up is the day when everything will begin to change, right? When they begin to seek their God, the God of Israel, then things will begin to change. But beside that, it won't happen. So none of this happened yet. And the nations around will be familiar with the prophecy. But the prophecy can't be a lie. The Most High didn't lie about anything. So it cannot be a lie, right? You understand? So whatever the Most High said would have happened in the curse, you would see this. If you see evidence of it, then you know that the curse is in effect. So you have to look around by reading this. And if you see the blessing, then you would know that, okay, well, the blessing book, this is the problem, that people are comfortable with someone being Israelites, or they would say the Jews, right? That people know today are claimed to be Jews today, right? These people that they claim to be, say they're Jews today, comfort the idea with other groups that exist out there. The idea, they've been comforted thinking, well, the Jews are there, so it couldn't be anybody else. But people are forgetting there's 12 tribes of people. Now we have to figure out who are these people. And I'm not talking about converts, right? I'm talking about bloodline. You cannot be of the tribe of Judah, right? You cannot be a Judahite. You can convert, right? And practice what they practice, right? And that's a conversion, right? Not earning the title of something because you cannot be a part of it. Just like you can be a Chinese. Even you're born there, your mother, your father went there and they have a baby. You're not Chinese. You were born there, but you have to go back to where you descended from, right? This is where you have to go back from. So we're talking about bloodline. This is bloodline. This has nothing to do with anything else. It has to do with an important bloodline, right? This is important. And this is where we have to go. Now, if you go back to Africa and you talk about the Lemba and the Igbo, these people, according to to Western science and European scientists who have done tests on these people, saying that they are, in fact, Hebrew Israelites, right? And they have the same genes. Now, we have to understand, if they possess this gene, right, then who are the people and who do they look like? Because there is the group of people didn't look, it's not Israel. Let me make this clear. It's not a mixed, the Israelites is not a mixed group of people. They weren't allowed to sleep with other nations or other people, so they remain the same phenotype, that the same complexion. All of them are the same, and they're relative by blood, right? This is by blood. So we have to get this clear, right? So we need to get this clear. So I'm talking about Israel, right? There's a bloodline. Remember, it was Ishmael and then Isaac. So there's a promise. There was two sons, and the promise was given to one. So both of them, even their brothers. One of them got a promise. There was a promise. So the Most High chose one out of the brothers, right, to represent whatever he thought to himself, which we might not know what that thought is, but he chose a people. So these people are chosen to do his work, right? That's why he chose them out of all the families of the earth. They were chosen for that, right? So these two brothers, and then in the end again, we have two more brothers again, which was Esau, right? And Jacob. These, the last two brothers that we knew about, they were generation between that, right? And these are the two brothers that we know about, specifically talk about there are two nations within Rebecca's womb, right? And these two nations will split. So there's a difference between two people that came out of Rebecca. They're not the same, even though they're brother, but there was one again that was chosen out of both of those brothers, right? So there's a particular or peculiar people that were chosen different from the other people. So they're not the same, even though they share the same, mother, father, paternal and maternal lineage. They share that, but they're different, right? The Most High knew what he was doing and he chose these people. So they're not the same as the other group of people. So this is not a mixed group of people, right? So the dominant, right, are what would you say, the Israelite and how they look still stand today. Didn't change, didn't washed out, didn't change color, didn't change anything. So we have to question a lot of things that we see happen today, or what's happening around us. And what I'm saying to you is, you have to go back to the book to find out who this curse that the book is talking about fit. This is how you're going to know who the people are. And not only that, there's many evidence, because the reason why somebody else cannot portray the idea, and if they do portray it, is just for a time, right? Is because the people, right, or the Israelites, the real Hebrew Israelites, has been kept hidden, right? And they have no power to put themselves in mainstream. But the problem is, these people don't need the mainstream, right, to wake up. They don't need Facebook, YouTube, none of these things, platforms to wake up. When this energy begin, right, to connect them, they all are going to connect and feel this energy, and they will all, you understand me, move, right, in accordance. So you don't need that. We don't need none of that. So they could block you from these platforms. They could take down your video because you say something about the Hebrew Israelites. They could do everything. All of this is just setting up, you understand me, and preparing you for what's to come, right? Because this has to happen. So they could do whatever they want. It's not going to change the fact, right? Whatever they do, whomever they are, cannot change the fact of what's going to take place in the latter days. Nothing that they do, whatever effort they put out, whatever they try to do, they cannot stop what's going to happen. They cannot stop it. As you see, a lot of them, they would talk about, the, what you call that? The Hebrew Israelite, and you have to understand this by just paying attention to what the world is today. There's a group of people that's been treated lower than everybody else. I mean, this is a fact. This is not something that I'm saying to you. There is a nation, a people, or peoples, or different nations of people who look a certain way that's been treated differently from everybody else that is high-colored. And I'm talking about the non-melanated people. There's a group of people, melanated people, nations that's been treated like nothing compared to the other groups of people. We could see that. All can attest to it. Whether you want to call yourself black or whatever, white, you can see that for yourself. This is a reality. Why? Because the book tells you that the Hebrew Israelite, right, that they would be the tail. It tells you not only that, they will have no might in their hands towards their enemies. I mean that they will have no power, no military might to stand up towards any country. Look around for yourself. Who doesn't have it? Which country that you know didn't have it? Look at Africa, right? When you look at Africa and how they classify Africans, right? And Africans are the worst. They're no good. They haven't contributed nothing. They're illiterate. They even disrespected the idea. Just think about that. They said all nation will hate you. All of them will have something to say about you. Right? Now, what I'm saying is the Hebrew Israelite, the melanated people, the people that were built and were made to survive within this ecosystem. I'm talking about the melanated people. They themselves, right? The melanated people, right? They existed then and they still existed now. They didn't diminish. They wasn't destroyed. They were expelled from the land because they went against the Most High. They went to serve other gods and drive him to anger, so he kicked them out of the land. As a punishment, you said he's going to let their enemy rule over them. Since this is what you want, I will let your enemy rule over you. And this is what's happening. Look at black people in the Western Hemisphere. And I know a lot of people will trying to get technical when it comes down to, okay, well, there are countries that black people are ruling. Yes. But compared to the other countries, they're nothing compared to any of these other countries, right? They may have been there, but they are, these leaders, who so-called leaders, who's been taking bribery and money from, European countries to keep down their own country. You have to understand these people, they don't want to see a country, especially a country where, dominated, with melanated or black people, as they want to call it. They don't want to see a country like that rise to any level. So they don't want that. They want you to stay exactly where you are. They feel threatened by the presence of black people. Just their presence alone, they feel threatened by them. So they wouldn't allow you. Knowing your history, knowing what you did in past time, they know this. See, the common people will have problem with everything because they don't know what's going on. Because their rulers, the people that took counsel against God people, you understand me? They are the rulers of the commoners. The commoners are only learning from them. So what they tell the commoners is what the commoners believe. The commoners will believe whatever their leaders say, whatever they standardize within their society. This is what they would follow. These, these protocols that are set in place, they would follow this. They won't do anything else. So outside of that, when you go through an institution to learn, this is the recipe that you're learning. You're learning what it takes and who it takes to do whatever they did within the society, what war fought, whether it was civil war, you understand, whether it was World War II, whatever war, whatever human rights march, whatever thing happened. This is what the information that was set in place by these people. So you have to learn about, okay, their accomplishment, what they accomplish, not what other people accomplish. They won't teach you about what they call African history or, black history. They won't teach you that. They won't teach their kids that. You don't need to know that. If someone is learning it, it's to understand where, the very beginning of things started. They will try to study because you can't study anything in ancient times getting the full understanding of what took place unless you have to go through black people because they are the original people. So you can't study modern people to find out what truth exists and how modern people even come into play. You have to go back to the same dark people to get whatever information you're trying to get. So history just doesn't stop with them. Or did it start with them? Never started with them. Started with the people before them. You understand me? The people that give birth to them. You understand, that gave rise to them. That's who you have to go to. So you can't find information if you're going back to the origin to figure out, okay, so where did this happen and how did this happen? We could break it down. Here, on the Naked Truth, we can break all this down. Simple. The Bible tells you, can a leopard change its spot? No, most definitely not. So they will tell you, oh, Israel is no longer, and Christian replace them. This is the nonsense they teach. Christians teach you, telling you that, they was replaced because they create lies. This is why I'm telling you with this book, man, you got to read it. You have to not just going to the church and listen to somebody tell you about this. You need to take this up on your own and read it. And I'm telling you this, read with an open mind. Just don't take this book and take everything for face value, as I said before, because not everything inside here is true. Practically half of this book is a bunch of lies. Do you get what I'm saying to you? But you have to read and put things together because there's truth there, right? And you're going to find it if your spirit is with the Most High. These truth you will see, it will reveal them unto you. They will be revealed unto you. So you have to take your time in learning what the truth is. Right? You have to take time in learning what the truth is and to understand it. Just to understand what it is. So, in order for us to find the truth about who the people are today, we have to go back to the beginning. Right? So, as I said, I employ everyone, the descendants of slave, understanding your struggle and don't know what your struggle are and why they're happening, why certain things happen to you. Right? You have to go back to your book, this Bible, that was written about you and written for you, to understand what's taking place, to understand what's really happening to you. Why are you suffering? Why are you down here and not just now? Over 400 and odd years, you're under the rulership of someone else. Why are you there? Why your people are not progressing, and who colluded together to keep you and your people down? I mean, you have to go. You have to go and learn these things. You have to learn and understand these things, my friend, my brothers, my sisters out there. You have to learn who you are. You understand? Don't think about other people or the group of people and what they practice, whatever they want to practice, right? Our concern is not about that. Our concern is to find the truth about ourselves, to wake up to our truth, our reality, not someone else's reality. Do you understand? So whoever want to practice what they want to call Judaism or whatever they want, and let them practice whatever they want. There is only one people and one group of people by blood that were chosen by the Most High. And your concern should be, okay, whether or not you are one of those people. We don't care about any other group of people and what they want to. That's their business. You understand? We're not here to debate about that. We're here to find out the truth about ourselves, because we tend to use, because we have seen something in front of us, we say, well, okay, there's a wall there, so we don't need to build a wall for ourselves anymore. No, you have to build your own wall. Not the wall that exists in front of you, but you have to put your own wall up so you secure yourself. You build your borders, put your wall up, not the wall that exists, the wall that can be compromised, but a wall that you build and you're certain about the stability of your wall, not the wall that you don't know anything about. So we're not here to absorb information from people who claim that they are, Israel and they are of the tribe of Judah. No, we're not. We are trying to establish the truth about who the people are. And today, and if there's a prophecy, if there's a word from the Creator who said that this is going to happen, then believe me, my brothers and sisters, it has to happen. There is nothing anyone, they think they could delay or, delay the inevitable. You cannot delay it. It doesn't matter what you do. Take the books off the shelves, change, close down your account, block your account because you're saying certain things, create the idea, anti-Semitism, homophobia, hate crime, whatever rhetorics they want to use, whatever title they want to use to claim this and to try to create a balance to say, well, we you can't call a black person nigger, you can't call a Jew because these are things that we don't need to talk about. Now, these things are very important for us to know. Very important for us to know. We don't need a million people to listen. I'm telling you, the energy that we express, right, in righteousness and in truth is going to resonate with the people, right, that bear witness to the truth. Those people that were chosen that bear witness, we don't need this. Even we're using this, they could close down, the account, they could block it, whatever they want. This is only going to make the message more stronger. That's all it's going to do. When they're doing this, they're showing us that, okay, there is something there that they don't want other people to know. So they will try to stop you. They will try to stop you from, speaking your mind or speaking the truth. But they will tell you, right? Freedom of speech. That's the first, right? The First Amendment, right? It's freedom of, so you can't speak either. You can't say nothing. So what lies this country is built on? Like what lies? You're telling me that I have freedom to speak, then you say I can't speak. Then if I speak and say something, I'm judged, or I'm cast, or I'm cancelled, or I'm taking my whatever I have is taken away from me. What lies and deception are people living in this country? Where is the freedom? Is there any? Or they use the Constitution for a mockery? Or what their founding fathers put in place doesn't mean nothing to them, because you have people who are greedy and people who want more than what the others have, and they will do anything to get it. And people who want to establish themselves because they're weak and they have this inferiority complex, right? And they want to be on top, but they're not strong enough. So they, because they have the finance and they have the means to do so, they'll do that. And they will lie and they will extract information and they will change history and they will change time just to keep themselves afloat, just to keep that lie going. And they will constantly come back and tell you, oh, we have a new finding, we have a new this, we have a new that. And it's always something coming in. Always you have a finding and it's telling us that this and believing in their learning institution, and you're going there to get indoctrinated with whatever they standardize to be truth. And you have no question. You don't question this because it's a program that you do not understand, a program that you didn't ask any question. You just believe that that's what it is. What lies and deception exist? How do we break away from this? When can the common person stand up and speak their feelings or speak about what they feel? You understand me? Some people are very sensitive. Why? Why are they sensitive? You have to ask the question, right? What if there is truth or there's lies about what someone is saying about you, then why are you offended? Why are you offended by that? If someone is telling you the truth, right? And you know that's the truth, why are you offended by this? It's like the Bible said, the spirit of the truth that the world will never accept. Now, this is a prophecy, right? They don't accept the truth. So this society we live in, you understand me? It's just a bunch of lies. You're living every day here, not knowing actually what happened, what took place, what transpired in the past. Because the people, the newcomers, I'll call them the newcomers, that took over and begin to rule, they erase the indigenous people, they erase the ancient people and put their history to the forefront. They put what they started from when they started it. They talk about that. The other history doesn't matter. So they'll tell you, oh, 2,000 years ago, they don't want to go further, because if you go further, everything is dark. Everything is what you call black. Going too far back, you're not going to see anything more than, from the Renaissance, go all the way back. The Renaissance was the change, right? Was the transition from what everything that was black begin to change over into something white. You understand? Begin to change. So history, they don't want to talk about history that doesn't, go back to when they started. And they would change things to suit themselves. They will change this. If you don't know your history, if you don't know that, then you don't know Where are you going? Where are you going? You have to know your history. You have to be familiar with who you are, your ancestors, in order to know where you're going. You tell a person or a descendant of slaves that came from the west coast of Africa, and you tell them that they're Hebrew Israelite. This is not a language that they're familiar with. It doesn't strike, strike like, to trigger any understanding in that person. Like, okay, they say to you, okay, it's like, you have, like someone come and tell you, oh, you're a human being. And you say, okay, I know. It doesn't surprise you. It doesn't give you that, that mind to say, what? And think, you know this. You're telling someone that they're an Hebrew Israelite. I said, okay, now you tell them that, what are they going to do with that? Because they don't understand the benefits that exist around, them, or the inheritance that existed for them. See, so they wouldn't act on what you say. They would just believe within the society that they live today. They will believe everything around them, right? They're influenced by the society. This society shaped their mind, the way they think. Everything they do is based on growing up within this environment. They know nothing else outside of that. So whatever the leaders and those who are in high position, whatever law they put in place, whatever they set in place, become the standard truth. Or lies, but it will be true to you, to the commoners. The commoners will know this, but the people that, play around, the puppeteers, right, who put these things in place, of course, you don't know why they're doing it. There is an agenda behind everything. There's an agenda behind everything. And if you read your Bible, you'll understand why someone would try to keep the Israelites down, why they would keep them there. Now, there's many scriptures we can read that talk about this, right? And why someone would go the extra length, right? To keep a people down, because they know how dangerous these people are. They know how dangerous these people are. So this would cause other nations who rise up to be afraid and what, we know them, but we're not going to tell them. We're not going to talk about them. We don't need to talk about them. So, we have to, practically get into, the scriptures to understand what was said. And this is how far we have to go to get a clearer understanding of everything. So my brothers and sisters out there, I implore you, Deuteronomy 28 through 68, to read this and to compare your lives, your neighbor, right? Your neighbor that you grew up with and their neighbor. Ask them questions. Just go to the door and ask them how difficult life was for you. What about your mother? What legacy did your mother leave behind for you? Nothing. What about your grandfather? Nothing. There is nothing there. Ask them yourself. You black descendants. You call yourself black, or this was given, right? This byword was placed upon you. Now you ask your neighbor. Right? Ask your close neighbor close to you and ask them. Go in the projects. Not only that, projects, go to all of them. Brownsville, Pink Project, Albany, wherever you want to go. Just go there and ask some questions. Simple questions. Ask some elderly people about their grandparents and how their lifestyle was and what happened to them and what took place during their time when they were younger and stronger and was moving around. And let them tell you what happened. You're gonna compare, and you're going to align everything to Deuteronomy 28 through 68. You're going to see it. Now, you might ask yourself, why, right? Why would you want to know these things? Because you probably grew up in this society and you tend to magnetize to what's happening. You're in the trend, right? Everything that's happening, you're a part of it. You want to be a part of it. Your lust, your desire, your will to survive is to contribute, right, to what we're standardized. So these things that they standardize, you have to go through these channels in order for you to survive. So your whole thinking is, okay, I need to get a job. I need to do this. I need to do what is necessary, is what was set in place to be necessary for you to continue to work in order for you to survive within this society, right? So you wonder why you have to do that, right? So we have a question here. What's the difference between Exodus 30:17-21 and John 13:3-9? Okay, so let's get into that. Why not get into that? Let me see which device to pull up my Bible. I'm just gonna go with the so Exodus 30:17-21. Let's get into this and see what it's talking about. As I said before, I want you guys to understand that the Bible has said you have to read it with an open mind. You definitely have to read that, and because it's not gonna just tell you things, And as I told you guys before, it wasn't a book with numbers like these, like Deuteronomy 30:21. None of these things. The book was the scrolls was translated, right? So let's go to Exodus 30, right? Let's go there and see what we can find. So Exodus 30:17, right? And let's just read and welcome everyone that is here with us here on the Naked Truth. Welcome everybody. I know some other people are going to come in later on, but we got to keep the energy going right about now. For those who are listening, whether it's one or two, we're here. So we have Exodus 30:17. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Thou shalt also make laver of brass. Okay, and okay, so I think this is talking about the Ark of the Covenant, right? His foot also of brass, and wash withal, and thou shalt put it between the tabernacle of the congregation, the altar, and thou shalt put water therein, for Aaron his son shall wash their hands and their feet. Oh, so this is basically a basin or something like that that he was constructing. Moses was ordered to construct. For Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet thereat, right? When they go into the tabernacle of the congregation, they shall wash with water, that they die not. Okay, so this is what I spoke about earlier, and a matter of fact, let me just get through this now, right? They go into the tabernacle of the congregation, they shall wash with water, that they die not, or when they come near to the altar to minister, to burn offering made by fire unto the Lord, so they shall wash their hands and their feet, right, that they die not. And it shall be a statute forever to them, even to him and to his seed throughout their generation. Okay, so that was Deuteronomy 30:17-21, right? So let's go to John 13:3-9, right? And let's see what good old John is saying here. And then we're going to get into the explanation of this, because, as I said, the translation of the book is kind of, So John 13, let's see. Let me find the scripture here. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay. So here we are, John 13. So John 13:3-9 through 9, right? So it said the Messiah, knowing that the Father is that the one had given all things unto his hands, and that he was come from God and went to God. Is that the scripture? No, no, no. It's not. This is not talking about the baptism. So let's start from 13 and go down. I'll read from John 13 and down, so we can get a clear understanding. Okay. Okay. Now before the feast of the Passover, when the Messiah knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world. He loved them unto the end, and supported and sorry. He loved them until they were in the world. He loved them unto the end. And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judah, right? Issachar or Iscariot, right? Sermons and son to betrayed him. So, okay. So the Messiah, knowing that the Father had given all things into the hands, and that he was come from God and went to God. Okay. He riseth from the supper and laid aside his garment and took a towel and girded himself. After that, he poured water into a basin. So it's the same thing that Moses constructed. This was a part of their custom, right? And girded himself. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. Then cometh he to Simeon Peter, and Peter said unto him, Lord, dost thou wash my feet? And he answered and said unto them, and what I do knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. So basically, why he's doing that to them, he's telling them that, what I do now, you won't understand it. You won't understand it, but later on. But these two scriptures are very different. But the concept, right? The concept of them are similar, because these were practices that were done. But there was one practice when we talk about, we'll talk about Exodus 30, right? And let me go back here. So just to get a better context, right? So let's go back to Exodus 30, 17, just to have it. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Thou shalt also make a laver of brass. So according to this, the Most High, right, gave Moses an order, right, to build something pertaining to the temple. Right, pertaining to the temple. He had to build something so that the Levite, right, the sons of Aaron, which were the law was giving to them, they was in charge of taking the holy things, right? It couldn't be the average person. So Israel was split. There was the Levi. They deal with sacrifices, and they worship. They spoke to the Most High on behalf of Israel. So the Levi was there. They was the priest. So they had a connection with the Creator. So the reason why I said that, you cannot go in there foul. You wouldn't be able to enter the tabernacle, and the tabernacle was a temple. You couldn't go inside that temple foul with foul, scent. Your hands had to be clean. Your feet had to be clean. Otherwise, you will die. It's the same thing when Moses told them that, when he told Moses, when Moses went up in the mountain to get the commandments, and he told Moses, put barriers around the mountain so that the children of Israel will not come close to the mountain, because if they do, they will die. So there is a pureness that you have to go through when you're dealing on that spiritual level. No, this is not about the baptism. This has nothing to do with the baptism. It's basically talking about, this was a custom that they wash their hands and wash their feet. But even when the Messiah washed their feet, he didn't explain to them why he did it. Because when, as you can see, Peter asked him, so why wash my feet? And he said, if you don't know now, then you will know after. So I guess when the latter days come, then you will know why. This will reveal to the children of Israel why, these the prophets' feet were washed by the Messiah. So there was a basin. It was a custom that the Levi had to wash their hands before they even enter the holy places. Because if they did enter it without cleaning themselves, they would die. You understand me? So the Israelites themselves, this was what you would call an mediator between Israel and God. There was always a priest. And this goes all the way back from Melchizedek, to the Levites. They were the ones who communicated with God, as you can see when you read further into, right, when you go to 20, right, when they go into the tabernacle of the congregation, they shall wash with water, right, that they die not. So they had to wash themselves. If they didn't, they would die, right? And it shall be a statute, right, throughout their generation. This has to be a practice. This is not from the Levite. This is not from Israel and their customs and law. This was something that was given from the Most High. He was telling them that you cannot visit me and talk to me unless you're fully clean. Otherwise, you will die. You'll be overwhelmed by his presence. Just by his presence, you'll be overwhelmed. So you have to make sure that you clean yourself. You have to clean yourself before you go even close, even get the opportunity to talk. You understand what I'm saying to you? Now, when he said he washed their feet, and Peter asked him about that. That why, and he said, well, if you don't know now, then, in the latter days you will know. And he said unto him, the Messiah answered and said unto him, what I do, thou knowest not now. You didn't know, you don't know it now. Why I'm doing this, you don't know. You understand me? But thou shalt know hereafter. Right? So after they would find out, or when he returned, they would find out the purpose of him washing their feet. They didn't know that. They don't know why he did it. But I'm sure it has to do with the presence of the Most High that would be around at the time. And for them not to die or consume, this is probably relating to that he would wash their hands and their feet. They're in the presence of the Most High. You cannot just go there. When people say they talk to God and God visit them, no, that is a lie. When the Most High visits you, the Most High himself, that ultimate power, that ultimate consciousness, you cannot survive it. If you are not holy and pure, you will die. You will be consumed and die by his presence, as it is written in the book. It is written in the book. The Israelites cannot even talk. They could pray, but they can't talk. So the things that are pertaining to the sacrifice, right? And that's it. That's in Exodus 30, 17, 21. The things that are pertaining to the Israelites, right? Which is the sacrifices. The Levi has to talk to the Most High. They have to translate information, whatever the Israelite did, whatever sinful thing they did. The Levites, they would talk to the Most High to eliminate or to delete that sin that individual commit. So if somebody in Israel sinned, maybe a small infraction, right? They sinned, they have to go to the Levites, and the Levites now will call unto God, wash their hands, go into the temple. This is why I said before, there was no church, right, that existed during that time, where today they have churches and tell us that, oh, the 7 churches, no such thing. The temple was a place that they kept holy things, and only the Levi could enter there just to talk to the Most High. There's a part in the book where they said that this cloud come down at the door at the tabernacle, and Israel was afraid. Right? They were so afraid when this came down because remember when Solomon built the temple and Moses said he don't dwell in temples or houses. But because Solomon wanted to build something for him out of his love and honor and you know, he said, okay, I want to build it. The Moses said, well, okay, then I'll visit this place because you're building it in my honor, right? That's it. So the holy things, everything that is in there has to be holy. It has to be washed. It has to be treated a certain way. Otherwise, the Israelites themselves couldn't just enter there. They will die. They had to follow every rules that were set in place. And the Levi was the ones who have the ability to communicate. They have the ability to communicate with the Most High. This is even when they was when they were leaving in Exodus, when they were leaving, and they were in the wilderness for a period of time, right? And when they were in the wilderness, the Most High tell them that the camp, the area that they sleep, this area that they sleep, they should not use or go to the bathroom anywhere close to the area. Because the Most High, it's so pure. This is why he required of Israel and gave them, you understand me, a dietary law. Because everything they consume has to be holy. Anything outside of that, they will be consumed in his presence. He cannot be around them if they're not righteous. This is why he said, I love you so much that you have to be living a certain way for my presence to exist around you. Otherwise, I can't visit you. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I can't visit you. I can't come close to you. You will die. So in order for me to be close to you and in your presence, you have to be holy. You have to live by what I gave you. You understand me? It's just like, it would be like, for example, say the plutonium. Not the plutonium, but say it's a radiation. So radiation is a living thing, right? And radiation need a company or it need people to come to see it. But it knows that within itself that it's very dangerous to them. So the radiation is intelligent, would tell them, listen, you have to put this suit on. This will protect you from me harming you, right? So this is what the Most High was telling them. From my presence will harm you. So this is how you have to live. This is why he don't deal with things that are in the society that they are doing in the society. The Most High cannot deal with that. And he won't deal with that. So when they tell you about love, 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 this has nothing to do with that. If they go against what he says, it means that they will be destroyed. This is why they said all evil must be rooted out of Israel. Why? Because you just can't be around something that is pure, in essence, completely pure through and through. You understand me? That's the problem. So he said, and the Messiah said to him, he that is washed needed not save to wash his feet, but is clean every width. Exactly. So now he explained to them, I guess that's further on down in the scriptures. So he that is washed is clean. You understand me? Every width, I mean every part of you is clean. You understand me? Needed not save. You don't need to be saved. His feet. But it's clean every width. I mean everything is taken away. Whatever was on you at the time or whatever was on the prophets at the time, everything is gone. Because he washed their feet, everything disappeared. Every width is gone completely. So he's saying to them, he that is washed needed not to save, to wash. You understand me? His feet. But it's clean every width. Do you understand? Exodus 21. So they shall wash their hands and feet that they die not. Yeah, and this is Exodus 21. And this is a different thing. Well, I think it pertains to the same concept, right? Of being around things that is, remember, you know, just walking on the streets in New York City and there's so much feces and things there. The Most High is not visiting this place because his presence cannot be around these things, right? Cannot be around these things. That's why I say, you know, cleanliness is godliness. You have to keep your environment clean for good spirits, right? Good angels to visit you. They won't visit you if you are living dirty and living nasty. So, but in Exodus 21, they're telling them that they have to wash their hands in order for them to enter the tabernacle. The tabernacle was the temple. It was a place that the Levi and all the holy things of the Most High, that they said that this belongs to the Most High, and the Most High accept these things to be His, that all of these things become holy, right? He even tell them that the sacrifice to me, you cannot eat that either, unless He directed them to eat of that sacrifice, whatever sacrifice they made, right? It belongs to Him. So when he acknowledged what they did and said, well, okay, these things that pertain it to me, that they are holy, because I have made them holy. Now, you, before you enter this place, you must take your shoes off, you must wash your hands and your feet. Otherwise, you will die. Because where you're entering is a righteous and a holy place. And you can't just go in there with dirt, dirty feet, dirty heart, dirty mindset. You will die. So you have to wash away whatever it is on you at the time, cleanse yourself before you could enter this place. That's basically what it's saying. So it's not complex. But this, he said, will be a statute. Meaning it's a commandment, it's a law, it's a rule, it's a regulation that has to be followed. They have to follow this. This wasn't something like, oh, well, you made a mistake. If you make a mistake, you will die. That's why he said to you that this has to be practiced from generation to generation. This is not just you, anybody else, even your sons and daughters, those of the Levite, are able to do that. Now remember, the Messiah, right, is an high priest for Israel. If you go back to Melchizedek, it tells you, right, that Christ is supposed to be after the order of Melchizedek, right? And because Christ is of the order of Melchizedek, he himself is a high priest. Why was Christ a high priest? Because he shed his blood to atone for Israel's sins. He did that, different from the Levite who would worship and pray for Israel's sins and would, for the Most High to wipe out or to delete that particular sin for that individual or the group of people in total, right? So the Levi you would bring a turtle dove to them, right? And this turtle dove that you bring to them, they would sacrifice it and they would atone for your sin. So the blood of this bird or the dove would atone for whatever you did wrong. It would be blotted out, completely gone. That means you're no longer bear the sin. This is why there was always a priest, because the Most High know that these people would sometime have fault. There's sometime they'll make mistakes. And these things were ruled out. The Most High anticipate all of these things. This is why he put things in place like this. So when you go through Exodus and when you go to John 13, you're talking about the similar practice that the Levi was washing their feet, right? And he said, what I'm doing, you know not. He was washing their feet because the Messiah was a high priest. They try to say, consider, he was an high priest after the order of Melchizedek. Melchizedek was a high priest, right? And he atoned for the sins of Abraham, right? Remember when Abraham was coming from the war and he met with Melchizedek, right? And Melchizedek, he gave him a tent. This is what it was in those days, a tent of his spoil, right? Because the priests weren't allowed to work. They were not allowed to do anything else more than keep the laws of the Most High. Yeah, some people said it's about baptism. No, it's not. This has nothing to do with baptism. It has nothing to do with baptism, which is about to be clean and forgiveness. No, it's not. It's not about baptism or forgiveness of anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? Each law has its own merit. And washing someone's feet and hands is not baptizing them. right? He's telling them that clean. This was a practice in Israel, being around that which is holy. You have to wash your hands on your feet. You cannot be around there when the presence of the Most High come. You cannot exist there if you're not clean and pure enough. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Remember, this happened before, right? This happened before he was crucified, right? That happened. He washed their feet because he know that he will encounter them in the next in the latter days whenever or after he was risen back from that state, that he would encounter them. Whatever purpose he washed them to make them clean, they would be in his presence. You understand me? But this has nothing to do with the baptism. People would try to add their story to this as if they know what's happening. You have to understand the Messiah, right, is not the creator, right? You can say he's a God, which is a title. He's in a high authoritative position. So you can call him a God, not the creator that create all things. He denied that himself. Tell them, don't pray on me, pray on he who sent me, basically. So unless he's a liar and he's lying about things, Christian try to find a way to make this seems like, oh, well, and then they come with this idea of the Trinity. Remember that nothing about the Trinity will exist in the book. None of these things were in this in what you call the scrolls. Let's talk about the scrolls. Is when they compile the information, they begin, these authors begin to change these what you call these authors and these whoever they were, right? Who decided that, oh, we need to change this to make it put it in a story form, right? And they did all of this. So this was conformed. The information here. So you have to understand that when you're reading the Bible, when you're reading this, you cannot go word for word with everything because there are things there that are changed based on modern thinking and the way that men construct stories. So you have to read with deep understanding to know what the scripture is saying. So it has nothing to do with baptism. Do you understand me? Not one single thing to do with any baptism and forgiveness of anything. You understand? For Israel to be forgiven of sin, this is not true baptism, right? This is not through baptism. Forgiveness of sin doesn't come through baptism. The Messiah shed his blood. You have to change your ways from what you regularly or how you regularly live, what you've done in your life that is wicked and bad. You have to change from that. And when you change from that, you have to talk to your Father, which is the Most High. You have to talk to him. And when you have that communication with him and prove yourself, right, to be true, or what you're doing to be truthful, you will be accepted. Your sins will be wiped away. This has nothing to do with the baptism. As they will tell you, oh, born again. There is no born again and none of this nonsense. Their idea are Christian ideas of this, and those who put these things in the Bible to have people believe that if they went and they dip in some water that your life is changed. Your life change every day when you take a shower. Notice, right, in Exodus 30, right? Notice we didn't tell them that there was a prayer that was recited and there was no recitement of anything. All it told them was wash your hands and your feet before you enter, right, the tabernacle and the holy places. The holy places, they had to wash their hands and their feet, right? This wasn't no recitement of, oh, our Father, bless us this day, and we bowed, and you know, they would call Jesus' name and all kind of nonsense and say baptize. No such thing. Nothing like that. These were men ideas that they came up with. That's nothing to do with the book. You know, it has nothing to do with the book. My brothers and sisters, it has nothing to do with the book. So this is why This is why we have to read with understanding. You know, we have to read with understanding. Otherwise, we won't know what's going on. You won't know what's happening around you. You can't be clean on forgiveness of nothing. You think because you kill somebody, you could go to the church and say, "Oh, baptize me so I can be clean again and take away my sin." No, your sin doesn't is not going to be taken away because, right? Because now let me explain this to you, right? And for the people out there who are listening, and these people who have this generic idea about what they think and how to clear someone of their sins. Through every dispensation, in time where Israel lived, and because remember, this book has to do with them. It has nothing to do with the other groups of people outside or the rest of the world. It has nothing to do with them. We're talking about the information that was documented by these people, their lifestyle, their customs, what they dealt with every day, how they dealt with it, how they communicate with their God. It's their book, basically, right? Now, these people know through their culture and their customs how they deal with their God, right? So you went out and you killed someone. It wasn't your fault. Even then, the Most High has a place for these people where they go for a period of time until the anger of the relative or the nearby is calmed down, then they could come back, right? So even then, all things were thought out, right? The Most High know that living in a community and you have billions, it's just like even you put two babies together, right? Say you put 2-3-year-old baby together and give them a toy, right? They will play and they will laugh with themselves, and eventually one start wanting the toy and the other one, there's going to be a fight. Something is going to happen, right? That they will get angry with each other for the moment, and they probably hit the other one with the toy and the other one start crying. And these things happen, right? So the Most High know these things will happen. So he put people in place, and these people are priests. These priests can communicate with the Most High. They're able to communicate with him based on the sacrifice that, okay, so if this person sin, if one person in Israel sin, say maybe he killed someone, right? And in himself, he find that, I didn't really mean it. He goes to the priest. The priest would tell him what to do. Okay, you killed someone. You bring a turtle dove and this and come to me and I will atone. It means that I'm going to delete those things. Like somebody come to the prison, right? And they bail you out. They put up some money because you were locked up, right? And they decide, okay, I'm going to get you out of this, right? And dismiss all the charges that were placed upon you. So this is basically what took place. So the priest would take that turtle dove or whatever you brought there to him, right? And he would delete whatever you did wrong. So whatever you did, you killed someone, he would speak to the Most High and the Most High will understand, and that negative thing that you did would be wiped away. Do you understand? That's how atoning for someone's sin is. This is why the Messiah came. Because Israel would be scattered in the last days. They would not be there, no more priests, no more Levi, none of them would be there to take you, that Israel have to carry 10%, because as I read before, these people would discontinue from their heritage. And because they'll be discontinued, they won't know themselves anymore. They won't know the customs. They won't know the things that they did. And this is why the temple don't exist anymore. If Israel is not there, there's no need for the temple, because for anyone to enter this temple, they have to practice the things that the Most High said for them to do. This is why when the enemy come, they burned the temple and the temple was demolished. You understand me? Because to enter this place and to touch these holy things, the things that the Most High deems to be holy to himself, they will surely die. You understand? So when the book tells us about the Messiah being a priest after the order of Melchizedek, it is correct. He is a priest. And this is why he's able to atone Israel for their sin. And not only taking sacrifices from them to atone for their sin. He shed his blood because he is the highest, right? He's higher than the priests that were the Levite. He was sent, you understand me, by the Most High to deliver his people. He said, I'm going to raise a horn in David to save his people. So he came to save them in the last days. So his blood is there, right? It's there now. Why is the blood exists now? This is no more Israel going with a turtle dove or whatever they used to bring, or a cow or a sheep or a young lamb or whatever. That's no longer needed anymore because there is no establishment of Levi anywhere in the last days. They would be scattered among the nation. There they have to find God now. And when they begin to have this conversation with the Most High, you understand me? He will clear them of whatever wrong they did, but they have to acknowledge. This is why I said you have to acknowledge what you did wrong. And when you do that, the blood is already there for you. So there's no need to sacrifice anything once you acknowledge what you did wrong. Right? Once you say, yes, I did this wrong, we did this wrong, and you acknowledge this, all of what you did is gone because the blood is already there for you. This blood stands for you because your brother sacrificed for you. His life, he sacrificed his blood for you to deliver you out of bondage when the time comes. So when they talk about the Messianic age and the return of the Messiah, it's because of that. His blood is there to deliver his people out of their bondage. Whenever they realize themselves, whenever they wake up from their sleep and begin to serve God with all their mind, their heart, and their soul, everything is gone. And then he will stretch his hand again and gather them. So this is why the blood was shed. This is why the Messiah came. For this particular purpose, that Israel in the last days won't be in the land. They will be scattered everywhere. And because of this, the custom won't exist anymore. There won't be no Levite. Right? No one there to atone. How would they gather themselves again? How? It would be impossible. See, this is how genius the Most High is. He knew that Israel get taken away and they were cast out among the nation. How could they find themselves back? How could they find themselves back to him? Because their sins has to be atoned. How would it be atoned if there is not a blood? So there is an important blood that exists there because it was shed by someone for them. And this blood, because it's there, all they have to do is acknowledge the Most High. That's all they have to do. Acknowledge the Creator. Acknowledge him. Acknowledge what they did wrong. And this is when you're going to go back. You say, was the blood shed for the sins of all mankind? No, it wasn't. It was not shed for all mankind. It was shed for the people that the law was given to. You understand? It's like, okay, you went to school, you learn about science, right? You learned it. You went there and you learned it. You and other people who went there and you learned this recipe about what science is. How could you go to someone a commoner in the ghetto and tell them to do the same work that you're doing as a scientist? They can't do it. Right? So the people that taught you have the high expectation of you because you know what you learned from them. You cannot condemn other people that don't know anything about it. Other people cannot practice the thing that you practice because they didn't know anything about it. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So the law was given to Israel, right? And what is sin? Sin is transgressing the law, right? That's what sin is. So sin is transgressing the law. Who got the law? Israel got the law, so they sinned, and their transgression, they have to pay for what they did wrong. You get me? So this is what's going to happen. This is why the Messiah came, shed his blood for them. Right? So sin is transgressing the law. He said he will raise up a horn in David to save his people. In David, which is Judah, right? To save his people. He said, I came but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He came for the lost sheep, those who were lost. That's what he came for. It's not for all mankind. Remember, and how the Bible and the scripture is taken out of context is because the book, because they compile the information in this what you call book and call it Bible, right? And this has been published all over the world now. And different race and ethnicity have this book, believing that they're a part of it, reading it, right? Believing all the other nations have their own gods, believing their own God and their own system of what they think God is. The Israelites have their own God too. He said, "You have chosen Israel above all people upon the face of the earth." He chose a group of people above all the other people that existed and said, "These are the people that I'm going to deal with." He gave them laws, statutes, and commandments, things that they should follow, things that they should do. Right? So it's not for all mankind. This is what Christianity tried to teach everyone, that it's for everyone. This law is not for them. It's for the Israelite, the Hebrew Israelite. Anyone else want to talk about forgiveness of sin? You cannot be atoned because the law was not given to you. Nobody died for you. The relatives of these people died for them to deliver them. It's like your brother died to save you. Like your brother, say some people wanted to kill you. They said they're going to wipe your whole family out, right? Your brother went out and said, "You know what? I don't want to see my family die out, so I'm giving my life for them." So when I give my life, they are pardoned. Every one of them is pardoned. That means the enemy that planned to kill them, they got a life for all of them. Say, "Okay, we're not going to do it anymore because this guy lays life down for his family." It's not for your neighbors. It's not for the people in the community. It's for your family. That's what happened with Israel. Israel are connected by blood. All of them are relative, auntie, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew, brother, sister. That's who they are. It's a nation, a family by blood. Has nothing to do with anyone else outside. They never dealt with other people outside, and they were never told to teach anyone outside. They didn't go outside to teach anyone because everyone else outside had their own gods, believe in their own gods. Israel have their own gods as well. What did he say? They went after the other nation, right? And serve other gods of the other nation. This is why he kicked them out of the land, because everybody else outside and prior to modern times, everybody knew this. All the nation that existed then knew who Israel were differently from them and that they were never together and never was supposed to be together. Because Israel was a different group of people. The Egyptian was a different group of people. Right? The Ethiopians or the Cushites were a different group of people. Everybody were different and they were doing what they do. Israel were doing what they do. Their God gave them something to do, and that's what they're supposed to practice. And he warned them and said, if you don't do this and you go against what this covenant that we make or that I make with you, I'm going to punish you for it. Right? And that's what he did. As you can see, when you read the Bible, there are many times that Israel went into captivity, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but many times. Why? Because they disobey the law. They transgress the law, so they will be punished every time they do it. He even told them that if the stranger that sojourned, the stranger come among Israel and they admire Israel and they want to live, fine. He said that. But guess what? They have to circumcise. They have to follow the law. And if they sinned, all of them will be going the same way, including the stranger among them will be cast into captivity. You understand? So it's very important that we understand this. Some people do not understand it. So his blood wasn't shed, right, for the sin of all mankind. That is wrong for people to believe. If you want to learn about the Messiah and the Most High and his people, then you have to learn about who the Israelites are. And you have to learn their truth, not the one that's been fabricated. You have to learn what was given to them. You have to do the things that they do. And I'm talking about the dietary law and the things that they were supposed to eat. All of these things are important when these people live in their land. They cannot do these things anymore. Cannot, the things that you see happen in the West and all of these things, and this cannot happen when Israel live in the land. None of these things that is supported in this society and around the world today cannot happen there, because everybody have to go by the law, the statutes and commandment, that which the world is trying to dismiss. Everybody want to dismiss it because they don't want to follow that, because it's not their culture. It's not their culture to follow it. So they're not going to implement these laws and regulate these laws for people to follow. They don't want that. No, we don't want these people. We don't want to live by this law. They want to openly do what they want. They want to have, married to animal, married to men, women, married to women. They want to do these things because that's what they want. This is their society. This exists within the society. But in Israel, these things don't exist. Cannot happen. And we all know the punishment for this if this happened in Israel. In this society, they're free to do whatever they want. But in Israel, this cannot happen. So it's not for every mankind. Should we ask the Creator for forgiveness or the Christ? We have to ask. We have to ask the Creator, because not only that Christ said when they asked him the Our Father prayers, and he told them, Our Father who art in Zion. He's telling them. And not only that, he told them, don't pray on me, but pray on he who sent me. So you can't ask. He said, asking my name. Anything you're asking my name, I shall give it to you. Say, asking in his name. So if you're asking him for something, you can get it. But the prayer, to pray, you have to pray to the Creator. Just like the people then used to. The only difference was that the priests are able to talk on the Israelites' behalf, right? Because they're not holy enough to stand in the holy place to have that conversation with the Most High in real time. But the Messiah can do that for you, right? The Levites can do that for you, right? This is what happened. So when the blood was shed, is to collect for those that dispersed, right? It's for all the dispersed. This is how they're going to be regathered and come back to the fold. And when I said the fold, mean they were a part of this thing before. This is why they have to go back to it. The law was given to Israel as a nation to observe, yeah? It has got nothing to do with the whole world. Should we still continue observing the law? I would advise any Gentile out there that they should observe the law. For their sake, they should observe it. But then you cannot tell somebody to do something if it's not within their I don't want to say biological makeup, but if it's not within their mind, doesn't exist within. If goodness and commitment, you understand me, doesn't exist within them, then it would be difficult for them to follow that. As you can see what's happening in the world today. But I would tell Gentiles that based on, it doesn't matter what I say, but I would tell them that, you know what? You want to find the Creator, you need to find the Hebrew Israelites and find who they are. And you need to learn what they learn, understood what where they understand, and try to apply those things to yourself. Because the book speak about strangers that will sojourn. But you cannot force people. This is why the Most High have never told the Israelite to go out to talk to any other group of people outside of Israel. So even when Paul went out, this has nothing to do with other groups or nations of people. They were talking about the Israelites, right, that lived and was expelled and live among the Gentiles and become Gentiles. Because if you're living and you no longer know your identity, like now, people in America don't know. People in the Caribbean and other places don't know that they're Israel, right? They're Israelites. They think that they're American. The others think that they're Jamaican and that they're Trinidadian and they're Asian, and we're all different. We're English, we're German, we're all kind of different things. So we're not. They were Gentiles. It's the same thing as now. They don't know that they are Israelites. So if Our brothers who know who we are come and said, listen, you are Israelites. Like you have a lot of groups here in America who said, you are Israelites. And telling them that you are Israelite, they're going out to their people to wake them up. It's not for the people that who already have their custom, their culture and everything going for them. It has nothing to do with them. It has to do with the lost sheep. People that are lost. So Paul went out to the lost sheep, to those people who were considered Gentiles, to regather them, right? You regather someone and bring them back to the fold, right? So that's what we're talking about. You know, bringing back someone to the fold, right? That's what it is. So we're not talking about other groups of people outside. And Israel never given a rule or an order from the Creator or the Messiah to go out to teach anyone else beside those people who are the Israelites. You have to go back to the scripture and read it. It said, I come, but for the last sheep of the house of Israel. The house of Israel is the nation of Israel. He didn't come for anyone else. He never said that unless he's a liar to say this now and then tell you, okay, go out to somebody else. Why would you say you come for us, then you're telling us to go to somebody else? It's obvious that he's telling them to go find their brother that is lost. You understand? So when you're talking about the adoption, it's taking those people who were cast out back into where they belong. Right? Bring them back in. That's why the Bible said the bride and the groom, right? He shall marry them back into the fold. Right? So these statements that you hear sometime when you say there are sheep that are not of this fold. You understand me? And things like this. You have to pay attention to it, and you have to pay attention to how the story is constructed and who is constructing the story to change the narrative to give, you understand me, premise to something else, because we're talking about replacement theology. And this is what Christianity did when they came in. You have to remember that Christians were the one who hunted the Jews. They hunted them down to kill them out and to convert them to Christianity. How could this religion now claim to be the religion, right, that they are the people of God because they read this book? You think because you read this book that you are a children of the Most High? No. You think the Most High put the word in this particular book that you see I'm holding now on the screen? No, he didn't. The information were written on different scrolls. This was translated into books, what they call Bible, just mean books in Greek, right? And they said it's all the Bible. This has nothing to do with the people. You know, so we have to pay attention to these things. So people believe, oh, I have a Bible, and they carry it in their pocket that they're going to be protected. No. And I'm talking about symbolism, that the pagan have their symbols that they label all the books with. And they put the cross on the church. The Most High has nothing to do with church. And we're definitely going to break that down and let people know. There is no salvation in the church. I say this here to you today. None. There is none. You cannot go to the church to be saved from anything at all. You understand what I'm saying to you? I'm telling you this. I don't know if you guys remember. What's this? There's a guy went into the church and killed some people. These people are in worship. They're in this holy temple, living and serving God, and there's a gunman breach, right? Compromise the security and go inside there and kill them. Are you crazy? You out of your mind? You out of your mind? Are you people crazy out of them? God allow his people that are sitting there worshiping, praying him, that somebody come in there and execute them? Doesn't make no sense, my friends. The Most High is not there, nowhere where they think, because they're not serving the Most High. Video coming up in a part 5 of this. We're going to talk about this Jesus and the Antichrist. We're going to break that down. I believe we did some video with that, but we have to keep, reiterating these information because I want people to understand that. So we're going to talk about that. We're not talking about, and these people I'm talking about, when they mention this Jesus and how they're baptized in the name of Jesus and all of these things, and their whole entire life is around this. Where did this idea come from? See, where did it come from? So yes, the law was given to Israel and only Israel as a nation. And I would employ, no, I wouldn't employ, but I would tell others, if they're wise within their thinking and understanding, they need to learn who the Israelites are. Your days here working and earning and gathering wealth is not going to save you when the time of reckoning come. You must know what you're a part of and what goodness exists in you. So nobody could tell you to be something good. You can't go baptized to get rid of any sin that you think that you have. You understand me? Changes doesn't come because you dip in some water and somebody say this over you. Doesn't bring changes to you. And I'm not lying to any of you. You can't go for yourself. You know how many people say they turn Christian and turn back and all this nonsense? Listen, man, you cannot change yourself. When you change, it's from your heart. That's where the change begins. That the Most I see within every man's heart, what they say that they are. Yeah, that's why there's a saying that it's not about the circumcision where you think it is. That you have to do that. God is more than this. You serving God is more than you think that you're cutting the foreskin off of your, whatever. It's more than that. Or how we know if we are one of the members, but in Gentile we are nothing to do with it. Well, how we know if we're one of the members are one of the children of Israel. You would know this. The Bible tells us, right? It's very simple to understand, right? If we have to go to the origin to break it down for people to understand, the Israelites and the book tell us. You understand me? You're like unto the Ethiopians to me, or like unto the Cushites to me, right? Now the Bible mentioned Ethiopia. The Israelites are like unto them to him, right? These phrases was said. The Bible said, can a leopard change the spot? No, it cannot. So the people that the Most High chose exist today in the very, very same look, the way they carry themselves, they exist today. How do we know whether or not one of them, the Gentiles, or who claim to be Gentiles, one? Because these people, as I said, are brothers and sisters. Just like the nation of people, all right, the group of people that went into Asia and they mingle with each other and out of them become children, generation. And look at them. Is there a difference between them? Look at all of them. You will know that they are families and how closely related they are. Whether you say that your mother is different from and what it becomes and the population grew into so much now that you can say, well, I'm we're the this or we're the that, and you want to call your name different name, whatever it is. But look at the people around you. You're a part of what? You're a part of the people that call themselves the Asiatics, right? So that's who you are a part of. The Israelites are a part of the people that are melanated. You will see that in them. And even if someone is mixed with them, you will know exactly whether or not this person is mixed, because they live in a place or a country where the Gentiles rule, and they mix with one or two Gentiles. You will see a difference in the appearance of these people. So you will know. It's not far, but the group of people, the majority of them remain Israel. They're going to remain and look a certain way. Nothing is going to take that away. It doesn't matter how they write the story and change the narrative. It remains the same. Right? The Gentiles, as I said, whether or not they have nothing to do with it, the Gentiles is a Gentile. A Gentile is a non-Israelite, meaning that if you're not an Israelite, you're a Gentile. Whether you call yourself Chinese, European, or whoever you want to call yourself, or other groups, or African people, what them call African, other groups, or Ethiopians, or whatever, Somalia, whatever you want to call them. The Israelites are different. They're different groups of people. Just like in Asia, you have Japanese, you have Koreans, but they look alike, but they're not the same people, right? This is why there's different language exists between them. You get what I'm saying to you? It's the same thing with the Israelites. They are different, right? They learn different language through different dispensation of time because they lost their own language. So their new language they're speaking different from what they spoke before. But they are different. Looking the same way doesn't mean that they are the same people. right? They're different. The color of their skin, the way that they look, right? They're different, and their practices are different as well. Is the book or the creator are exclusive to Israel, or it would welcome other to believe and follow? Listen, it's not about the book, right? It's about the law, statutes, and commandment. This is the most important thing. It's not this whole entire thing that you're looking at here that makes you, you understand me, a dedicated and I don't want to say believe, but trust, that build your trust in the creator that create all things on this planet. You understand? It's not just this and every single word in how many books is compiled here. This is not the whole thing, right? Their importance thing, that's why we're talking about the validation, in the Bible, and whether the whole entire book is a complete word of God. And I said, no, it's not. Because there are things that were written by scholars, right, who tried to change the story and who input there what they think that these prophets were saying or these men were saying at the time. So they would change the narrative of the story. This is why sometimes you read the book and it seems like it's confusing. It's not the book confusing. It's the people who write and change things to confuse the readers. You know what I'm saying? So the law was given exclusive to Israel, yes. But as I said before, the strangers that sojourn among Israel have certain privilege, right? Within their own conviction. They could sit, right? And they could want to be a part of something that is good. It's like you see somebody doing something good and this is what you want to do. You see it, you admire it. You like what they're doing. So you say, you know what? I'm going to join these people because I think this is right. It's your commitment that's going to bring salvation to you. Nobody else can come to you and teach you to become that. You understand me? You can go out to look for the sheep that is lost from your flock. You could not look for somebody else's sheep because the sheep don't belong to you. They don't listen to your voice. If you go there and say, come on, Blackie. Blackie's not going to listen to you because Blackie don't know your voice. See, the owner of the sheep could say Blackie, and Blackie hears his voice and come back to the fold. So it's not for the for the shepherd to go out to go find somebody else's sheep. He's looking for his sheep that's lost. It's very simple. His sheep that lost, that's what he's looking for, not somebody else's sheep. He don't care about other people's sheep. He's worried about the thing that he loves. One of his sheep went away and he cared about his sheep, so he's going out to find that. He's searching night and day, going through woods and hills and valleys to find that one sheep that left the fold. That's what he's looking for. This has nothing to do with any other group of sheep existing out there. It has to do with the sheep that was lost, and he's looking for them. So whether it's 20 or 30 person went out to go find that one sheep or two sheep, they went with the same idea that we have to find the sheep. Now they know each other's voice. They know the commands. So they could talk about it and it would resonate with everybody because we're of the same fold. So when the information presents itself, you understand, we can connect ourselves with it because we know, yeah, this is what it is. Because we are of the same fold. It's like a black person go to China, right? You don't know what Chinese culture is and what they're saying and how they practice their culture. How could you assimilate? How could you be a part of that? Not only that, but you don't look like them either. How could you fit in? See, the information wasn't intended, never was, by the Most High or any of the prophets to teach any other nation outside anything about Israel. That's not their duty. The Most High chose these people and gave them laws to live by and become a nation and to practice him. He said he'll deal with the other nation. He said when their sin reach to the events, that he's going to punish them. He's going to send storm, a wind, tornado, and he's going to destroy their city. Now, we have seen this happen many, 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 many times. Disaster come to their city and their house get torn down and whatever happened, flooded out. And this is what he said he's going to do when their sin reached to a certain level. But for Israel, when they sin, their punishment is to be kicked out, expelled from the land, and the other nation is going to rule over them. That's their punishment. So for anyone who wants to live or sojourn among Israel must go and learn from the Israelites and observe, right, their practices. And if they truly want that, they have to find their own commitment. It's not a commitment that can be given by the Israelites to anyone to be a part of nothing. You must know what you want, which is good for you. You must understand if you live on an island and the water is rising, right? It's rising and there's a bridge for you to cross and leave before it gets worse. But because you're all strong to what you believe, you tell yourself, well, I'm not leaving, because you think the water is going to recede, right? No, it's between the commoners, the people who use their common sense and realize, well, you know what? The water look like it's rising. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave. Within your own consciousness, you must make this decision and say, I'm not going to stay because I assess the problem and I see that it's going to be dangerous for me. So I'm going to take my family and I'm crossing this bridge and leave everybody here. And this is what you have to do. Yeah, you know, and this is what you have to do. So it's up to the Gentiles to find that within themselves. It cannot be given. Neither any of the prophets went out to teach them, but it's up to them to find that within themselves. And they could follow that rule, but they know the punishment that exists for Israel is going to exist for them as well. You know, and that's how it goes. And I hope today we kind of exceed the time a little. And we're going to get into this, as I said, next week. We're at part 4. And I hope we'll bring some clarity to the listeners out there, those of you who are listening. And we'll get back to the business, right? We get back to this next Friday. You guys can tune in. And welcome to The Naked Truth. And do leave your comments, whatever it is that you need to leave there. Just leave it. And let's talk. If you have any questions, anything you have, just leave it in the comments. And we'll talk about that when we return next Friday here on The Naked Truth. Do stay tuned for ATO. That's coming up next. So stay tuned and make sure you subscribe for the newcomers, whoever out there, subscribe to the channel. Share the stream on your social media. Just spread the good gospel, man, and go back and watch the video and try to gain some kind of understanding from it. And I hope you do learn something. Until next Friday, we'll be here again. And much love and respect to everybody out there. And as I said, stay tuned. ATO will be coming up next. And we are here. Big up on yourself, everybody. Much love. May the Most High bless you. You're going out and you're going in. And serve the Most High with all your mind, your heart, and your soul. Don't forget that. And let me reiterate this for a second. All the descendants, whether in the diaspora, wherever you are, scattered among the nation, wherever you live, and you're facing this type of tribulation, I want you to get a Bible. And I want you to open up and read from Deuteronomy 28 through 68. Deuteronomy 28 through 68, the blessings and the curse. And try to align this with your life and see whether or not you fit the prophecies. You will know who you are and come back here, leave your comments, and let's get chatting, right? So big up on yourself, everybody. Until next Friday, we'll see you guys again.